Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to In Touch with Essence. My name is Eme. If this is your first time here, please join us. Today, we're going to take a look at culture. I would say in touch with culture. Focusing on humans in their natural state of being, culture itself is a very broad topic. It comes with various meanings, definitions, interpretations, and practices from individuals, groups of people, from clans, tribes, societies, or nations across continents on Earth. Before now, cultures had existed as far back as history can take us, and it's still evolving in these present times. Separate groups of individuals from all kinds of human backgrounds, not limited to clans, tribes, or nations, but also organizations do see culture differently. For example, anthropologists from a cultural standpoint will see culture through the study of humans and their cultural beliefs, practices, values, ideas, and in other domains with the use of data and fieldwork. Sociologists see culture as a way of life in behaviors, attitudes, morals, etc., while culture in biological view involves the breeding of living things such as organisms, tissues, cells, bacteria for scientific purposes. And dictionaries gives different or similar meanings and definition of culture, as Merriam-Webster defines culture as customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group, also as the characteristics features of everyday existence. Other areas such as science, medicine, psychology, history, art, linguistics, religions will all approach culture differently. Each of these categories comes with its own set of interpretations depending on what it is looking for within its own context. So one can say that there is no fixed definition of human culture. Rather, it should be given the space and chance to be felt, known, experienced, interpreted, and applied by every clan, tribe, society, or nation as a representation of a natural existence where we as humans, by nature, can bring out the qualities which is in us to determine our life's vision or mission, and so on. That is, culture is within us in some form of natural or unnatural, stable or cognitive thought processes, in an interconnected or related form in our mind, in our senses, or instinct. Culture can be about anything: good, bad, acceptable, unacceptable, moral, harmful, or immoral. It could manifest in words, deeds, or actions by an individual, group, society, or nation who might have gone through some stages of self-awareness, discovery, creativity, and knowledge, individually or collectively. Culture is felt through the means in which it is expressed, practiced, experienced, and communicated by humans through thoughts, feelings, translated in art, dance, language, science, medicine, technology, economics, politics, religion, etc. Therefore, some of the outcomes and effects of culture are learned human behaviors in beliefs, practices that identify people from one another. What will you identify your culture with? Will you protect the culture you come from? Historically, human cultures had evolved over time from prehistoric through ancient to present times in some parts of the world, especially in the continent of Africa, where some findings of remnants at ancient sites of humans and their ancient settlements or civilizations are said to have been found by some natives from the lands or by researchers such as anthropologists, archaeologists, paleontologists, scientists, historians, etc. Human legacies, including that of early man, are evidence that cultures had evolved successfully or unsuccessfully, depending on what went on during that time. Particularly in these two parts of the world where civilization started, that is, in Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates River, in present-day Iraq, and in ancient Egypt, among two kingdoms, the Upper Kingdom and the Lower Kingdom, along River Nile in the continent of Africa. Other parts of the world also experienced civilization, such as China around 1500 BCE and some parts of Central America in Mexico around 1200 BCE. Nations in Africa south of the Sahara were powerful and prosperous kingdoms and empires had thrived economically, such as Songhai in about 9th to the 13th century, Mali Empire around the 13th to the 17th century. The Ascomite Kingdom of Ethiopia had existed during the Iron Age in about 100 to 940 AD. It flourished until the 8th century. The Kingdom of Dahomey, present-day Republic of Benin, had thrived for many centuries until the end of the 15th century, before the advent of the scramble and colonization of Africa through the late 19th century by the Europeans. Even though parts of northwestern Africa, modern-day Tunisia, had been occupied and ruled during the ancient times as a territory by the Romans for about more than 500 years after the fall of Carthage in 146 BC. In Hadar, East Africa, Ethiopia, parts of a female skeleton named Lucy, said to have been an early human ancestor, became known as the mother of all mankind. She was said to be about 3.2 million years old, discovered by some paleontologists, while in Kenya, anthropologists with some associates found fossils of bipedal species said to have been about 4.1 million years old around Lake Turkana, etc. There are other discoveries and legacies of ancient humans and their forms of settlements from Old Stone Age in about 2 million BCE, and these are evidence that cultures existed before now. Early man evolved as hunter-gatherers of fruits, nuts, plants, roots in about 2.6 million years, according to history. They went through the Stone Age around c. 10,000 to c. 3,300 BCE as they revolutionized from stone to bronze. Human beings discovered places, learned how to make and use tools out of stone, clay, wood, straw, metal, and from many other available resources they must have come across around their environments. Such could be found among many ethnicities, the Bantus in West Central Africa today. Common examples like grinding stone, mortar, pestle, knives, etc. And humans started distinct types of settlements and began agriculture. Some did crop cultivation. Some reared domestic animals in the ancient northern parts of Africa around the Sahara regions, while others weaved textiles. Some made pottery items, while others produced tools, weapons, by hammer and chisel. Also, carving, grinding, and polishing of several types of stones or precious stones like granite started during the Stone Age. During the New Stone Age or Neolithic Age, craftsmen and women learned and practiced how to make tools, weapons from metal. And among other things, the list of human and cultural evolution goes on through the Bronze Age, when cultures such as in Eurasia no longer depend on stone and wood for tools. They began making objects and tools with bronze, metal. Through the ancient times, along came the Iron Age in about 1500 BCE. The process of casting and staling of iron, or simply say ironworks. This period of Iron Age was the beginning in inventions and appreciation within cultures and civilizations around the world, including Africa. This goes to show that many tribes evolved in knowledge, and many individuals from nations had practiced distinct types of science, medicine, technology, art, culture, etc. In early astronomy, according to the Dogon tribe in Mali, they knew ancient knowledge about planetary movements in the sky in about 3200 BC. While other tribes or nations in Africa had practiced some basic advanced skills, techniques, and technology for several types of sectors in life. Seen in ancient Egypt where ramp, lever, ropes were used in the support of building constructions and to fasten boats and ships in the waters. In medicine, some ancient Egyptians had surgical equipments to practice some form of medicine. Mathematical systems were also used in different tribes and nations in the ancient times for counting, measurement, problem solving, and among other ethnicities in Africa, West Africa, and in the Cameroons. Metalworks such as iron smelting and steel works were made in some parts of ancient times Tanzania in East Africa, and also in Sub-Saharan Africa. Welding works such as making of bow, arrow, and spears, machetes, which could be used for hunting, defense, or leisure, were also common. Different forms of engineering designs and significant architecture seen through some ancient cities or villages across Africa and the Cameroons, such as an ancient city of Djenné in south-central Mali, built by the Djenné people around the 8th century, using traditional architectural designs with mud, sticks, and other materials. Djenné city is known for its famous mosque built in the 13th century, that is, in about 1300 BC. by King Konboro, and it is said to have been reconstructed in the 15th century. Such developments became a common type of cultural and religious festive lifestyles where the people of Djenné gathered yearly to renovate their mosque as well as their homes. In the Cameroons, they are known for their beautiful traditional African architectures, seen in palaces across the regions of the Banmoun people in Western Cameroon and also in the Northwest region, the Bafut Palace, built around 1917. And Bamun Palace was built by King Njoya in about 1876 to 1933. Different forms of engineering, designs, and significant architectures are seen through some ancient cities or villages across Africa and many parts of the world. Ancient cities or kingdoms in ancient times Africa mostly comes with ancient libraries and museums carrying some form of literature, artifacts, or academic and scholastic subjects, including linguistics, such as the baffled alphabet, philosophy, physics, chemistry, science, medicine, and a lot more. These are evidence that cultures existed then and now in various form or shape. And the oldest and famous Larabanga Mosque in West Africa in the Upper West region of northern Ghana, said to have been built around 1421 from packed earth. It says much about ancient cultures, architectures, art, and technology in ancient and modern day Africa. This shows that cultures live and evolve as part of us in our types of lifestyles or types of technology. Such methods of ancient developments evolved over time, and I think most technologies across Africa and the world over many centuries and through modern times have also evolved and benefited from many of such ancient technologies and knowledge, not excluding business, agriculture, science, medicine in some form. Lifestyles, beliefs, tradition, ancestral practices, languages or linguistics are all some of the products of culture. In many circumstances, culture in some communities, tribes, nations are classified, described, practiced in one way or the other by some groups, individuals, and organizations depending on what they want it to be. Some scholars, anthropologists, organizations would describe some cultures as primitive, that is, without technology, especially among groups of gatherers, pastoralists, herders, horticulturalists, in regards to their way of life and practices, while referring to some cultures as modern or civilized, that is, with technology and development, without giving credit to the ancient cultures or origins where technology may have evolved from, that is, Old Stone Age, New Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age, which is said to have been the start of technology. Let's see some cultures around the Western Equatorial Africa, grassfield regions of the Cameroons. I would say culture in the tribes, beliefs, which entails creation, God, gods, ancestors, etc. Norms whereby it is expected of each and everyone to do the right thing, be good, respectful, helpful to elders, parents, and to those in hierarchy within the communities you are part of. Respect for peers or circle of friends, family, relatives, visitors may vary. It could be informal or casual. In some cases, there could be consequences of norms that are uncoordinated, bad, or unacceptable in the eyes of the communities. Many cultures, or my culture, practices and follows certain rules, requirements, standards with regards to common origin, such as history, custom, tradition, and we value the elements that made us who we are as a tribe. We express who we are through thoughts, songs, dance, food, creative works, including art, carvings, such as wooden stools, masks, talking drums, handicrafts, like weaving of baskets, fiber bags, embroidery, mats, made from raffia palm leaves or bamboo, etc. Other forms of primary and tertiary activities, such as fishing, farming, hunting, are the main sources of living around communities. The language as a means of communications include spoken dialect and some symbols. There are traditional laws and other that governs the subjects and its leaders within the communities. Even though we have cultural and traditional practices, some of these have been greatly infiltrated or influenced to an extent or probably mixed up by some elements of foreign religions, especially Christianity, including Roman Catholic, Presbyterian, Protestant, Baptist, Full Gospel, Born Again, Apostolic, Jehovah's Witness, and many other New Age religions, Muslims to an extent. Local systems are a little mixed up with foreign systems of governments, organizations, and politics, with direct and indirect rule, as well as other religious systems and practices, of which Roman Catholic, Presbyterian are the main dominants. Common languages, aside from our dialects, we use in communication are Pidgin English. We call sometimes broken English or lingua franca. We have English language, French, and to a little extent, Hausa, Fulani, or Bororo are spoken. The essence of culture in any tribe, nation, society, or group is meant to feel belong, take part, grow, and become effective, productive, under an umbrella in the things that brings success on all levels through some common goals in language, customs, beliefs, tradition, economy, development, etc. An assurance of basic or standard safety, protection, and representation in every department of life and environment, so to speak. Would you say primitive culture is bad and negative, and civilized culture is good and positive?